Your dog started to leak urine, also known as incontinence. Now, what can we do about this? Yes, there of course are drugs that can assist with this, but let's look today at my top tips to treating urine leakage in your dog without drugs. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lyndall Pinchin. I'm a canine and human naturopath, and I've been in the industry for over 35 years, and I've seen many dogs that have had issues with urinary incontinence for various reasons and have successfully helped to treat this issue using herbs and other remedies. Now today we'll learn about the different types of incontinence and also natural remedies that can really help address this. And you'll want to stay till the end, guys, just so that I can help you with a bonus tip here. So keep watching right till the end. Now, urinary incontinence in your dog is that involuntary leakage of urine, which can range from just small dribbles to large amounts of urine leaking. Now, common signs of this in dogs is wet spots on the dog's bedding or on the floor, of course, consistently damp or matted fur around the area, especially, of course, around the rear legs, excessive licking of the genitals, and a persistent smell of urine. Now, there is more than just one reason that this can occur, so let's jump in and find out the main reasons and how each one can be addressed from that natural perspective. Now, probably the most common type of urinary incontinence is structural incontinence. Now, this occurs where there's a lack of physical control over the dog's bladder, and underlying this is usually a problem with the sphincter control. Now, the urinary sphincter is a muscle that controls the flow of urine out of your dog's bladder. Now, while this can sometimes be related to birth defects, the most common reason is after spaying or desexing, and this occurs in female dogs. Now, usually middle-aged to older dogs. Spaying leads to a drop in the level of the hormone estrogen because of this low level of the hormone, it actually affects the urethral sphincter tone. Now, the urethral sphincter, as I said, is that muscle that's controlling that flow of urine out of your dog's bladder through the urethra. Now, lack of tone can make this really weak, leading to urine leakage. Now, using herbs that support the hormonal system along with urinary herbs can be very effective at managing this type of incontinence. Now, structural incontinence caused by this spaying issue responds really well to specific herbs which improve the muscle tone of that sphincter muscle and also help improve muscle and nerve wastage and repair of this. So herbs such as saw palmetto, couch grass, elecampane, horsetail and oats will all tone both muscles and nerves. Now, I would recommend giving these herbs in a combination for at least 3 months for best results. Couch grass, for example, will directly help improve the bladder sphincter tone. Horsetail is rich in silica and can help repair damaged tissues, while saw palmetto helps improve both muscle and nerve damage. Now, you can also consider taking your dog to see an animal chiropractor to make sure that there's no pressure on the nerves in the area that feed into the bladder area. A good chiropractor is going to be able to identify this really quickly and easily, and usually 1 or 2 treatments might be all that's needed to really help correct nerve flow, so consider that too. Now, our second main type of incontinence today, guys, is infective incontinence. In a case where incontinence appears suddenly, it's urinary tract infections and or stones are usually the first thing to suspect. Now, dark colored urine, smelly urine, seeing your dog trying to pass water and managing only just a little bit are all early signs. Now, obviously, it's always good to get a proper diagnosis here via your vet, but herbs can be highly effective here. Some of the best herbs to consider here for UTIs buku, corn silk, creativa, uva ursi, rosips and garlic. Now I always use a combination of herbs like this to treat any urinary tract infection, along with cranberry or D-mannose and a good quality probiotic. Now the incontinence that's associated with a UTI usually subsides pretty quickly once this is treated. And of course, if you are using herbs and supplements and don't see any improvement within 24 to 48 hours, please of course consult with your vet. Now buku in particular contains antibacterial volatile oils that are activated in the urine to kill off microbes and resolve that infection, making it extremely effective here for these urinary tract infections and associated leakage. Now while creativa can reduce the inflammation that's leading to that bladder irritation, as long as you're seeing improvement in symptoms, 7 to 14 days on these herbs is usually sufficient to clear an infection and that associated urine incontinence. Now, if your dog's had a history of these type of infections that are causing incontinence symptoms, it's really important to have a look at the immune system as well. So probiotics and immune supportive supplements would be really helpful here. Before we go on to consider any other causes, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos. It just takes a second and it's free. Now, what about other causes? Most other reasons here are going to be based around trauma or old age in dogs, which is going to affect the nerve supply to that sphincter muscle and the bladder in general, or which cause muscle wastage in that area generally. In addition, other illnesses like kidney disease, Cushing's syndrome, diabetes, and liver disease can actually cause a dog to be very thirsty, which can result in frequent urination and they're being caught short at times and unable to hold on long enough to empty out the bladder properly. Now these diseases need of course to be treated separately, as the wetting is really just a symptom of more serious problems. And finally, geriatric incontinence caused by dementia, in most cases, reduced bladder capacity or reduced control, does show up in these older doggies. Now, it's not uncommon for me to hear stories about dogs that have dementia and that are experiencing some urine incontinence as part of this process. Now, once again, using herbs that will tone the bladder can help, but also focusing on giving nutrients to support the dementia too. Now, this includes medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane, herbs such as lemon balm, bacopa, ginkgo biloba, gotchicola, and maritime pine bark, just to name a few here. Now, for that bonus tip I mentioned in the beginning of our intro. Now, there are a number of foods that can cause irritation of your dog's bladder, making them much more susceptible to suffering from leakage or incontinence. Now, the number one food here are processed foods and kibbles. They're high in fillers, often contain artificial preservatives, dyes, etc., and low quality ingredients that irritate the bladder or kidneys. In addition, corn, soy, and wheat can be very inflammatory for some dogs. Now, pineapple can irritate the bladder lining due to its high acidity and also high oxalate foods. Now, these can contribute to crystals or stones, which can lead to that urgency and incontinence in your dog's bladder. Foods like spinach, beetroots, a lot of sweet potato, along with raspberries and soy, can be a bit problematic, especially if your dog has a history of urinary stones or other kidney problems. You might want to avoid them here. Dairy products as well in certain dogs can certainly cause gut inflammation that spills over into the bladder and stresses the bladder, especially in an older dog. Oh, and by the way, an obvious thing here, but make sure your dog's maintaining or even slightly increasing their fluid intake unless your vet has told you otherwise. Increasing the water intake here can help dilute the urine, which can reduce down the risk of bladder crystals and stones, and also encourages more frequent urination, which can then flush the bladder through. Always offer filtered water when it comes to any kidney issue. Well, there you have it, guys, my top tips to treating urine leakage. I would love you to leave me a comment below if you've got a minute to tell me if your dog has some type of incontinence issue and how you've treated this conventionally or otherwise. And don't forget to like and share this video if you found it helpful to help get that message out to others that are looking for help. Now, do you ever wonder what plants in your garden are toxic to your dog? In next week's video, I'm going to explore the top 5 plants that your dog needs to avoid and some pet-friendly ones that you definitely want to have in your garden. So check out next week's video for that. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to catch up with you soon. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye for now.